morning, good afternoon, everyone. Wow, everyone's up and early today.
Morning, Grace. Morning, everyone.
Morning, Steve. Look at everyone. They're bright and early today. Are we all keen? Hello, Dolly. No, it's Bree, isn't it? Good to see you here, Bree. I get mixed up with your name.
Good to see you too.
Warren said that his breakfast was an hour late, apparently, Steve, so he's running behind schedule.
Yeah, that's unusual. Amy the artist strikes again. Yeah.
He wasn't waiting for me to cook it either.
Oh, Christine, you didn't cook it for him.
No, I cooked him dinner last night.
That's more than enough, Christine.
Oh, breakfast is not my thing to cook at all.
Yeah, especially you have to get up early.
Yeah.
Wow, look at everyone. We're keen. Is it because of the energy work? What is it, guys? It's fascinating. What's attracted you to come in early this morning?
It's knowing we're going to get more of me, the hot one. Narcissist himself.
Oh, Chris.
Things were going so smoothly till then, right?
Chris is my friend here. It says me. So is Chris a girl or a guy? Anyway, a girl. Oh, thanks, Chris. But anyway, what do you think, Steve? Are you ready? Because, wow, we've got heaps of eager people wanting to start this thing.
Yeah, sure. Can everyone just make sure you're muted for the next few minutes? And we'll start with the heart-mind coherence, Grace. That's I think we're a good place to start.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I'll just spend a couple of minutes giving you some background if you haven't done this, and then we'll get into the 3-step exercise. So what I'm about to take you through comes from the Heart Math Institute in the US, and their researchers there found that the heart has 40,000 cells, they're brain-like cells called sensory neurites. And they discovered what they called the little brain in the heart. And these sensory neurites, they can learn and think independently from the neurons in the brain. The ones in the heart can remember independently from the neurons in the brain, and they can also communicate independently from the neurons in the brain. And one of the challenges of our human condition is that we have been very much conditioned to see the world through our brain. And we kind of work independently, through our brain and through our heart. And when we do that, we're kind of separate, quote unquote separate. And it's kind of like we're incomplete in many ways. And so what they have discovered was there is a way to harmonize our brain and our heart, or our mind and our heart, so that we are, I guess, for the want of a better term, more complete. And this makes us different to all other forms of life on the planet. It gives us the power of empathy, compassion, intuition, and a whole lot of other things that that no other species can do. And so the purpose of harmonizing the big brain in our head with the little brain in our heart is it creates like a hotline between the subconscious, or to the subconscious rather, and that's where the healing begins. When we harmonize our heart and our brain, the healing benefits can last for up to 6 hours. It also deepens, of course, it goes a hotline to our subconscious. It also deepens the impact of any affirmations we might be feeling. And it really does put us into a different state. So it makes us, like I said, quote unquote, complete in a way. So I'll take you through the steps. There are 3 steps to it, and I'll be doing it right here as well. So step number 1 is to shift your awareness from our thinking mind to our feeling heart. And the way we do that is I invite you to close your eyes and then to gently touch your heart center, either with, like I'm doing, with an open palm, or with a couple of fingers or one finger, just whatever way is comfortable for you, just to touch your heart center. And the reason that we do that is that our awareness, it always goes to the place on the body where you feel the touch. And this draws our awareness from our mind, our busy thinking, fearful mind, to our heart. And it sends a signal to our whole body that I'm turning my attention inwards. So I invite you just to gently touch your heart space. That's step number 1. And step number 2 is to slow your breathing. And so I just invite you to breathe in through the nose for a count of 5, hold for a count of 5, and then out through the mouth for a count of 5 while we're touching our heart space. And so breathe in through the nose for a count of 5. Hold for a count of 5. And then out through the mouth for a count of 5. We'll do that again. In through the nose for a count of 5. Hold for a count of 5. And then out through the mouth for a count of 5. And in through the nose for a count of 5. Hold for a count of 5. Then out through the mouth for a count of 5. And when we do this, it tells the body that you're in a safe place, because the only time you actually breathe like this is when you feel safe. So it's a signal for the body to let go of stress hormones, feelings of stress, and it awakens the healing chemistry, because the body can really only do one thing or the other. It can stress and be in survival mode, or it can de-stress and be in healing mode. And so when we slow our breathing, it gives the body permission to awaken the healing chemistry within our body. So again, I invite you to breathe in for a count of 5. From that place you feel the touch. Hold for a count of 5. Then out through the mouth for 5. And again, from that place you feel the touch, breathe into your heart center. Hold. And then out to 5. And step number 3, this is the key. It's about a feeling. So I invite you to create a feeling in your heart from the place you feel the touch, from the place where you were just breathing from, to the best of your ability, to feel one or a combination of care for anyone or anything, appreciation for anyone or anything, gratitude or compassion, care for anyone or anything, appreciation, gratitude or compassion, to the best of your ability to generate that feeling. And researchers found that these 4 words, they actually trigger the connection between the heart and the brain. And so to the best of your ability to feel the feeling of one or a combination, from that place you feel the touch of care, appreciation, gratitude or compassion for anyone or anything in your life. And just to sit with that feeling. I invite you to take one more slow breath in for a count of 5. And hold. And then out for a count of 5. And there we go. The heart-mind coherence.
How's everyone feeling? Thank you for that, Steve. That certainly did something for me as well. Every time I do that, it does brings me to stillness. My mind is more clear.
Yeah, I guess as the research says, it does make you feel complete in a way. Like it's really hard to put that into words, but it's a feeling, isn't it? It's just you just feel more complete in some way. Yeah.
It's truly subjective, experiential, really.
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
Yeah.
But since we're heart and mind coherence, I really want to thank everyone's response and feedback yesterday with Warren putting the rule on City Awakening. It's got great feedback for most of you who responded on Telegram. Because what we really want, our desire in City Awakening is to really bring you to balance, bring you into symmetry and not be caught up in the external. So again, we are all about the inward journey, and the inward journey is the spiritual warfare, the true spiritual warfare is within us. And we don't want to be distracted. There's enough looking inward to do our own battle, let alone going external as well. And also, we want to keep it in order as well. We have to be orderly because there's so much chaos out in the world, and you can imagine the emotions and everyone's emotions. So let alone going on Telegram and adding this and whichever link. And so for us, we totally focus on the path that we've been given, and that path is that it's a very narrow path, and it's exciting, but it's also a lot of challenges. But it's a great reward to walk on that narrow path rather than that broad path. So this is where we choose in City Awakening. So really appreciate your responses to those who did on Telegram yesterday. And so we just want to bring more clarity. So the more we bring clarity to ourselves, we do it for the rest of the group too. So there's so many activities, so many groups, so many rallies, and it's up to you as a sovereign individual, obviously. But here in City Awakening, this is our path. This is what we're about, and we really wanted to make it clear so that you guys are clear in what we're about, and so we can journey on together in this narrow path.
Yeah. Also, Grace, I'd just like to read something. I felt led to read this today. It's from, I do a lot of card readings, and the book I had the card I did this morning was The Dragon Fae by Lucy Cavendish, and I drew the card called The Blue Lady. And I just really want to. There's two parts to it. There's the divinatory meanings, and then what it means to work with that energy. And so it's quite prophetic and aligned and synchronistic to what you just said then, because it goes on to say, it says, people may be speaking to you from their fear. They tell you that what you wish for and hope for cannot be. And it's not about the mundane. It's about precious jewels of hope that form our existence and our identity. The question truly is, who do you wish to be? An amalgamation of the fear and conditioning of others? Or do you wish to bravely be yourself and risk the falls that may come? Because the Lady of the Blue Rose tells you that falls will come, as will resistance. But she also tells you that breaking through to the other reality is your role this lifetime. To carve out a path for yourself and to light the way for other travellers. You are unlimited. Do not allow the fear to bind you and burden you. You are free, and as such, the impossible is simply an act of magical will and self-determination. And then it goes on, it says, just as you were speaking that, I just went, wow, that's really, the synchronicity there is incredible. And it goes on, working with this energy, it says, summon your inner courage and cast away the thought that courage is muscled and wears armor and a shield. Courage can be gentle and delicate too. It simply needs to stay true to who it is and what it does. Take steps to separate advice that comes from experience, wisdom, and advice that comes from fear or conditioning. And, you were talking about all of the groups and the videos and all of that stuff, which is very fear-based. It goes on, understand that you are the being who must make the decision about your path. No matter how caught up and bound you feel you are, there is always a way to be truly free. And that is by expressing the essence of you and being true to your own heart and talents and powers. Stay strong, stay true, and do not waver. Call on the Blue Lady and she will gently guide you. Finding others who can mentor you through the impossibles will also be of great assistance at this time. Also, take time to clarify your own conditioning. Warren was talking about looking inward. And make a renewed commitment to come from your talent and your gifts and your truth each and every day. Small, powerful moments of courage create a life fully lived. And I just thought that was, as I said, synchronistic and really powerful for today's message. And even, leading into William's session about clearing our aura and our etheric bodies. We all have that free choice and that freedom within if we do go within and don't get distracted by all of the stuff that's going on out there.
And I like the word there is courage. We're born in this time to take courage, and we're all required to move into that in this time. And that's why if we can stick to the path together and do it together, we can leverage on one another and gain that strength with one another. And isn't it funny, Steve? I'm in blue today.
Blue lady.
I've got a blue dress.
There you go. Maybe you're the blue lady it was talking about, hey?
So, no, it does, because Warren and I have been talking about it more and more each day in regards to take courage. We've been preparing ourselves for the last over 20 years, really, for this day. And that anything that we can do, any modalities, and it takes a lot of strength, a lot of that word courage really comes up.
And it's courage in... courage in those little moments to every day, to when you see the latest thing announced about vaccine passports and lockdowns and number of COVID. I mean, they always tell you the number of new infections. They never tell you the number who get better, right?
Oops. Oops. I accidentally muted you, Steve. Can you unmute yourself again?
There we go. All right. to get that, it might be a message there for me, right?
I prefer you mute, Steve, but anyway.
Yeah. I'm trying to mute you now, Warren. It's that fear narrative, and like I said, you never hear the number of cases who got better. You only hear the number of new infections, right? And that's all just to generate that fear. And so even in those moments where you hear that stuff and you see that stuff, it's that having the courage to not give in to the fear. And that takes effort, right? That takes mental and emotional effort to do that. But it's really a part of us staying sovereign, being able to do that.
Totally agree. Totally agree. You got any comment to that, Warren?
Well, yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree with Steve more on what you were saying before. I was just processing everything because we spend so much time over the years preparing ourselves, and like you said, Steve, I don't focus on that. And one of the things that when I studied history, you've never seen a great awakening happen or a great shift unless humanity is in a state of darkness and declension spiritually. And there's many reasons for that. I mean, as much as an idealistic world that wouldn't have to go that far, and the day will come when spiritual, commitment to dharmic paths and commitment to our duties to God and to each other and to our community will become more habitual for society. At the moment, we're still where we're at in our consciousness is people without some kind of wake up or fright or forcing don't really seem to wake up. And it's, if you go back when Krishna came to the earth, India was in extraordinary darkness. And, Krishna led India into a whole new spiritual and religious awakening at the time. When Babaji came to India, he woke up another level. And then when Yuketswar and Yogananda came, they brought and Lahiri Mahasaya, they took the spiritual teachings of Christ and the consciousness and the yogic teachings that have been secret and only for initiates. They brought it out into the marketplace and started initiating people in India. And then Yogananda took it to America. And then, of course, Christ came at a time when the Hebrew people were in extraordinary, darkness. They'd been taken over by Romans. They were brutally treated. They had no rights whatsoever. Australia's been a very fortunate country for a long time, like a long, long time, as is America. We've been protected. And I believe with all my heart it's because when we founded them, we called in the blessing of Almighty God. And we put the Christian kind of, I don't like the word Christian, but we brought in that Christ kind of higher energy influence, and we honoured the higher laws, and we made that commitment. And when you study the American Revolution, Jefferson did that. The English common law was based upon that. And because of that, we've been honoured. But as time has gone on and we've become lazy, we've become, greedy through prosperity, we've lost our way a little bit. Coercion, swindling has really become a way of our life. And it's important to remember that no government can come to power but doesn't actually align with the consciousness of the people in that region. So that's a little bit of a frightful thought to realise how bad we've got as a species, as a people, that we are where we're at. It just tells me I've been very sober about it. I'm like, it's almost extraordinary to think how far off we've gone from the higher paths. And and prophets came in times past to warn people, and all throughout history, whenever they did, they were never accepted. They were generally killed. They were persecuted. Christ was killed. They tried to kill Krishna. Buddha was persecuted. In the Dark Ages, many prophets and teachers who tried to warn humanity were killed. So prophets are generally never well received when they come telling people in prosperity, when life is good, that life's going to go seriously bad if you don't listen. And over the last 50 years, many prophets have come, to warn our civilization what was coming. And by and large, only a minority have listened. So we are where we're at right now. And we've got to realise that we're at where we're at right now because as a species, as a people, as a consciousness group, we've clearly done something seriously. We've missed the mark. And it's really good to reflect on that and go, without even a guilt trip. It's like sometimes, often we go into the other extreme, start beating ourselves up, which isn't the answer either. It's like, for example, let's just say that I really did the wrong thing by Grace, and I got on the phone and I called her names and I broke a whole lot of promises to her. Now, Grace would get really upset at me. Now I could go, oh look, it's not my fault. I'm collapsing the illusions. But but really being authentic, I would just get on the phone and say, look, Grace, I'm not going to beat myself up, but I acknowledge I haven't, what I've done. I promised I'd pay you this money and I haven't done it. I promised you this and I didn't do it. I'm out of line. But that's it. But what's done is done. Let's just move forward. And I know Grace would then express how she felt. She'd be pretty angry. She'd get it out of her system. And I'd say, okay, I get that. Thank you for sharing. Now let's just move on, shall we? And I know she would say, yes, let's just move on. And I'd say, let's just make it right. So really that's all it is. It's like, what lessons do we have to learn to reverse what's going on and shift inwardly? And that's why I put those rules up with Grace yesterday, because it's like there's so many people out there. There's like 1 million people giving common law tips and Supreme Court tips. And look, most of them probably can do it better than Grace and I could do it. We probably, we wouldn't do it as well as most of these people like G&B lawyers and like AFL lawyers. But the one thing we do know how to do is spiritual awakening. It's been our whole life. When I was 18 years old and when Grace was young, I was called to make a commitment to Christ, to the gods, to the higher masters, to serve the planet and be a teacher and a leader. And I was asked when I was 18, will you pay the price? I felt that inner call, and I straight away said, I'll give up everything for the work, and I did. I gave it up. I got on with life, and pretty much it's been what's driven me. And so, really, that's what it comes down to, and that's why all the teachers from Buddha to Krishna to Christ to Moses to even Muhammad, the Kriya yogis, they all said It doesn't mean you've got to go leave your jobs, doesn't mean you've got to go leave anything. But when he says you've got to be willing to kind of give up everything, it means all attachments and say, right, okay, whatever's going on in Sydney right now, as bad as it is, it starts with the consciousness we've got. It's time to wake up. It's time to get the lesson, because as soon as we get the lesson, it's going to shift. I can promise you that. As soon as we all get the lesson, it will shift. It will shift.
Totally.
Sorry for not in advance, Grace, but that was just what was on my heart this morning.
Well, totally good, because I was watching, I was listening to Stephen Greer last night, and he's the guy that did the Close Encounters, and he talks about the ETs, and he actually tunes into them and invites them, and he actually has had encounters with them, and not just him, but a group of people that he's worked with. And I love the fact that he was saying last night that it's time for our species to really work ourselves out to increase our vibration and frequency, so that we become that cosmic interstellar communication with all the communication out there in space. And so when we look at the state of our species, we're really sick. We're really we still haven't got our shit together after centuries. But you know, in saying that, that's why when people come to me and they're in a state of trauma, depression, all the pains, the way I see it is that what a wonderful place to be, because there's nothing like being in pain to really shift it and to turn it around, to make a change. There has to have a change in yourself. I mean, who wants to put up with the pain? Obviously, some of us are more masochists, but there has to be a major change and change shift. So really, we're here if you guys have in your heart to leave a legacy. Really, our true legacy is how do we change our species, because we're all entangled in it. So we do our part individually as well as collectively, and so that we may become one with the interstellar relationship out there in space. Because I guarantee you there'll be so many ETs. You've got the Arcturians, and you've got all these different beings out there. And so not many of us can actually communicate and tune into that vibration.
That's very much what the Keys of Enoch says. I know Stephen Greer, and he's excellent. I've got a friend who's been to some of his actual things where they connect with ETs, and you always actually meet them. And I've met a number of them, and angels. But yeah, you have to be in a certain state of consciousness, awareness, and humbleness before I'd even speak to you. And for years, I spent many years hungering, fasting, and basically they wouldn't talk to me. And then once I got into a certain state of being, they started talking to me. And they hunger for us to communicate and be part of the intergalactic cosmic network. But right now, what we've got, so much souls. And if you read the Keys of Enoch, in one of the code keys, it says that the Council of Nine have said that the Galactic Council who oversee this universe, they said, like the Council of Nine said, they are creating a new higher dimensional holographic Earth, which we're moving into, which they said, but only perfected souls who've cleansed their karma and are able to contribute to the new Earth will be part of that. And those who aren't will have to go back to a retrograde Earth, which is like, you know, almost starting again, reincarnation. Don't even be surprised if the retrograde Earth sees bombs, destructions, nuclear wars, and, you know, pretty much an ending of it as we know it. So I can see how, so really this is the time to awaken and the time to clear ourselves out. And it's a wise time to be reverent and fear God, in the sense that it's very easy to be complacent and think, hey, you know, we're fine. No, I mean, you know, we are where we're at because we're not fine. And it's time to go, okay, let's just clean up and be part of this new Earth. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no place for ego.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Warren, you were talking about connecting to Arcturians, Council, you know, Palladians, etc. Ego is what gets in the way of that, right? If your ego is running the show for you, then that's just like a massive block, right? It's just it almost just it's a lock, a door, a gate that just shuts everything down. And so I think part of our inward journey, our inward sovereignty, is to deal with our own egos so that we are open to more things. And that's not always easy, because we get in very much in survival mode. We have a lot of fear, and that again is the ego running. Well, you better not do that. Gee, if you do that, X, Y, Z might happen. And whilst ever that program is running for us, that higher connection is really, really difficult to achieve.
Well, that's why we do a lot of energy work here. We do so much energy work. So not just when Warren does in the evenings, but during the day, we do a lot of energy work. Steve and I do a lot of workshops together. And in our workshop, we do a lot of energy work. Because really, what does it mean by increasing your vibration frequency? What does it really mean? How do you increase that? And in theory, your head can try to work it out, but practically, what does it mean?
Yeah, actually, that's really interesting, Grace. I'll just share with everyone from our meeting on Wednesday. Some of you will know I run a men's group on a Tuesday night, and I turned up to the meeting with Grace on Wednesday afternoon, and I don't know, I was feeling really tired, really, really heavy, and I kind of just wanted to go and have a nap. And so I turned up to the meeting, and Grace says, "What's wrong with you?" I was a bit tired. Because no, there's something on you, right? There's something in your, anyway. So who you're going to hear in a minute. She got William in and did a clearing, and that heavy energy was lifted off me that had come from the group the previous night. And so the value of doing a lot of that energy work, as Grace just mentioned, because I was like, within a few minutes, I was just picked up, and we had a really productive meeting. If we hadn't have done that, it just would have been a slow, laborious waste of time, because of the heaviness that I was carrying, and something had got into my ego state, and it was running the show, and I didn't really even know it. I felt it, but I couldn't, because I'm so close to it, because it's me. It was really hard to clear, right? And so that's why I'm looking forward to today, because as William will tell you, he's done a bit of clearing on me.
Oh, he loved it, didn't he, Steve?
He did. Yeah.
You're a vomit buddy, Steve.
Yeah.
Did I though, Steve? Did I?
No, not on Wednesday, he didn't, but that's one of the few times, yeah.
Yeah, for me, what happens is I felt this arrow go from the back of me, going down to my heart chakra and anchored in the sacral place. And there was just sharp pain. And there's no way I could do a meeting with pain in my gut. And so that's why we're in tune to one another in regards to, okay, obviously it's not me. So the first question is, I ask myself, is this me or is this Steve? And so obviously it wasn't me. So, basically just micro and recognize and discern where it's coming from. And then you might think it's so weird, but it's real. It's real. So with that, all I did was, okay, let's just shift this, because there's no way I can have clarity of mind having a meeting with this pain going on. And so, again, we go back to the word courage. It takes courage to actually just speak it out, even, because I could have been screwed up. I could have been wrong, and I could be totally way out there. But again, it's okay. If you make a mistake, it's fine. And that's where the continuous practice happens. I'm going to invite Christine. Hey, Christine, for the last... Christine has been having an evolution in herself. Hey, Christine, in terms of in tuning in and experiencing all these different energies in your body.
Yes, it's been quite remarkable. For those who don't know, I've been on a journey for about 2.5 years. I've been working with Grace and then with Steve as well. And I couldn't feel anything, really. But it's taken a long time and a lot of work, and now I'm starting to recognise it. And even on Friday, I felt a heavy energy. And Grace said to me, "Can you shift that?" And then she encouraged me to use another tool that I have, and I did. And I could actually feel it lift, and it was just so remarkable. And I have shifted energy before, but that was like it was another tool. And I thought, wow, And working on the ego, yeah, it's really, I'm sort of constantly doing that now. And I think the thing about it is I'm so much more aware of it. Working in ego before, but I wasn't aware of it. And now I'm aware of it. It's quite frustrating a lot of the time. But at least I'm aware of it, and I know that when something comes up, I have to do something about it. And I guess that's really my journey, being aware of my ego and mastering it. And it's not actually killing it, it's just understanding where it's at and what I need to do about it.
Well, like Antonia says, becoming aware of our egos is the trick, as denial can set in and stop us seeing it sometimes. It's true.
Absolutely true, yeah. And you are right about the pain stuff. You know, if you let it go on and on and on, you can have a lot of pain. It can be physical. And then at some point you do have to speak your truth and deal with whatever it is, but it's better off probably to sort it out before you get to that point, really.
Yeah, particularly everything's moving so fast now. Energies, transformation, awakening, whatever, everything's moving fast, isn't it? It's just you don't respond to whatever's presented before you. It either can set you back or get caught up in circumstances and get caught up in this earthly matter, and before you know it, you're in the pit.
It happens so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to pick up on something you said, Christine, it's really frustrating that when you catch yourself. But I totally concur with that. But we're also human, having a human experience, and that that is part of dealing with those emotions and so forth. Is part of our human experience.
Oh, absolutely, I agree with that. It's just the frustration is another part of the thing you have to deal with. It's a whole learning process.
It doesn't make it easier. It doesn't make it any easier, right?
But I think it does lift you up to a certain degree to know that you can actually recognise it and do something about it. I feel the heaviness is when you're so lost that you don't even know what you can do about it.
Actually, I guess that loops back around to where we started, or at least what Grace started with. If we're not constantly bombarded within City Awakening and the Telegram group with all that stuff, that does play its part in keeping everyone clear and not allowing, those frustrations which can so easily creep in. Because as everyone was know, you would see one little post on Facebook that might trigger you, and then half an hour later, you've been through half an hour of negativity, fear, the mass consciousness, and all of a sudden you feel like you need a 5-hour nap just to feel okay again. And so it's so easy in our human experience to get caught up in that.
It is indeed. And if you hadn't seen it in the first place, you'd had that half hour of peace.
That's why we do on Saturdays with Christine, we do a lot of work on the ego. So we're going through the spiritual warfare currently. It's taken us a few weeks, doing it slowly. And the slowness actually helps to identify what you're trying to deny. Like Antonia says here, that the ego is so tricky, it can put a veil over your eyes, veil over your mind. So the slower we go, the faster you can recognize it and discern where it's coming from, particularly the dialogue in your mind.
It's a very skilled and sneaky beast, isn't it, the ego? Highly skilled, right? Highly skilled at its own survival. Yeah.
Very much so. Very much. When you think about it, we're dealing with centuries and centuries of consciousness, of humans' consciousness, and then we take it on board. We come here and born into this death. The way I see it is that when we come into this world, we're actually born into death. People celebrate the new baby's life, which is wonderful too, but also we're born into death.
So we have to figure out how to get to life. That's really the story, isn't it, Grace?
Yes, the resurrection. We're here to resurrect. When you think about it, we're composed of different things. We've got ego, we've got soul, we've got higher self. And what's the difference? And then we gotta function. What do we have to function in every areas of our lives? And as I say, ego is such an expert. Particularly, I was talking to someone this morning. Someone rang me early this morning, and trying to work out with the ego. So my simple question was, well, who's asking the question? So she's like, oh, I get you. So the ego's trying to figure it out and trying to heal myself. Well, yeah, well, go back into yourself, go back inwardly. Look at the fruit. Look at the fruit. Is it giving you life? Is it giving you death? Is it energizing you?
Really hard when you're caught up, like Christine said, when you're caught up in those circumstances, though, isn't it? To be able to, I guess, get off the treadmill, get off automatic and go manual, and be able to step back into that, because the emotion, the feeling can be so real and so raw and so heavy, and it really does take for the want of a better term, a lot of spiritual skill to be able to do that. One, to recognize it. Two, to have the courage to do something about it, and three, to almost have the willpower to step out of that. That it's almost a victimhood, and I don't know about anyone else, but gee, there's a lot of benefit sometimes in being a victim. Gosh, it can feel good. It's no one else's fault. It's not my fault. It's everyone else's fault. I've just been screwed over again. There's a lot of delicious pain in being a victim at times.
I mean, I love blaming Warren. It's your fault, Warren.
But don't we all?
It's your fault.
You love blaming.
I can be everyone's bitch. I can be the arsehole. What can I say?
Well, you'd like it, Warren, because you're the narc, right? So it's always your fault.
Look, like Trump, as long as some people love me or hate me, I don't care. As long as I am a man, baby.
That's why I love blaming Warren, because he can take it. Because sometimes you just have to. It just requires to get that off your chest, isn't it? To get it off you, and without judging yourself, and without being judged by someone else, and then judging yourself over the judgment that you've just created yourself the judgment of. So it's kind of multiverse, isn't it? And we just got to own it and let it rip, because otherwise the denial sets in. Own it 100%, and it's okay. You'll be all right. So if you can find someone who can get that off your chest, it's wonderful. So as I say, Warren is my hitting bag for blaming, and it's great. Because he doesn't take it on board. It's all about my stuff. And I know it's my stuff. But we require, because we're in this physical body and in this human form, we've got to get it out somehow. And otherwise, we get stuck with all these energies. And William comes in our team is like, oh, God, what the heck have you guys done to yourselves now? So William is a key person in shifting blockages and energies. We make him work too.
Yeah.
Antonia says, hey, Steve, this is your area. How do we work with our shadow?
It's simple, but not easy. Well, again, it gets back to identifying what is in the shadow, our shame, our feeling small, our jealousies, our hates, our rage, our judgments, all of those things. And one, identifying them, and two, is loving them as part of you. Because they're spiky, yucky kind of things, judgment. Oh, I don't judge people. Well, yeah, I do. I'm not a narcissist. Warren owns his narcissism, right? He's quite happy to say, yeah, I'm a complete narcissist. And in doing so, what that does, it dissipates the energy that particular negativity or that particular emotion has on you. If you if you find yourself continually judging other people, because that's not a nice thing to do. Nice people don't do that. What you will then do is judge your judgment, and all it does is perpetuate it. Whereas if you are able to identify and love and accept that judgment part of you, or that fear part of you, or that narcissistic part of you, it is fascinating when you do that, when you're able to identify it and love it and accept it as part of you, how that actually dissipates.
Mm.
You know, if you fight it, if you squash it, if you push it down, if you pretend it isn't there, then all it does, the energy of it just generates more and more and more.
It escalates. So if it helps you, Antonia, what I'll do is I'll put some. Hang on a sec. What I'll do is I'll put all the emotional traits on Telegram for everyone to see. It's actually it's a guide to assist you, because in that moment the energy is spiraling so fast that if you've got a kind of a guideline, a template to see which emotions, it's quite helpful, because then you can, if you look at it and identify it and bring it into your awareness, bring it into your world, and just allowing it and sit with it, to really sit with it and seeing it first and foremost. So if that would help, I'll put it on Telegram in a few moments. Cool, because that's what we've been working on as well for the last few years. It's putting the list of emotions and the traits. It's actually and identifying it is actually really helpful. So I'll do that in the next few minutes.
Actually, if I could give one example of that, Grace, is you know, and Warren will resonate with this. Part of my shadow is my relationship with my mother. My mother was a lovely, caring woman. She only died earlier this year, but she was a lovely, caring woman, but she was also a very manipulative woman. And I really resented her for that. Yet, only until recently was I able to speak that out. You know, what sort of son says bad things about their mother? You know, what sort of son actually acknowledges that this woman who has birthed you and loved you and cared for you all this time, what sort of person says that? Well, until I had squashed that and I'd run away from it. And so that manipulation that I felt as a little boy, that had run my life up until the time I was able to recognize that, to actually speak it out. Yeah, you know what, Mum, I do resent the way you manipulated me for as long as I can remember. You know, you never let me make my own decisions. You never let me do this. You never let me do that. And I do resent you for that. And me owning that, me not running away from that, me not being ashamed of that, because that was honestly how I felt. That energy, her manipulation energy, has really left. It doesn't rule me anymore the way it used to. And if that helps, Antonia, to deal with your shadow, I mean, my shadow's, I don't know about anyone else, but mine's quite deep. I've got a lot of shit buried in there, right? So, and that was just one of those things that was in there. And until I was able to recognize that, to own that, to speak that out, and not judge myself as some kind of freak and asshole and weirdo and horrible human being, until I was able to accept that, yes, that's how I felt, and I love me anyway. That really, that energy shifted when I did that.
Well, remember another episode, give a diagram. Well, another time, Steve. Remember that time that I asked William, can you join our group, please, to do some energy clearing for us? And I didn't realize everyone can hear him on the phone. And William, we've always encouraged our boys to speak the truth, no matter what, and use words that is volatile within themselves, so that they can really get it out of them, get that energy out. So He's
Whereas,
William.
Grace, if I can just interrupt there, whereas my upbringing was the complete opposite. You don't say anything nasty about anyone, or you can't. You're not a nice boy if you say those sorts of things. So I was used to squashing all of that down, right? And that's the complete opposite or antithesis of what you're talking about with William.
Yeah, so
and it was glorious.
This is a good example of polarizing. And so that's what Steve's upbringing. So now William, on the other hand, as I said, I didn't realize the phone, everyone could hear me on the phone. And so William's like, before I do any clearing, Mum, let me, can I just express myself? I was like, oh, okay. So, because I was in that zone, like, okay, yeah, sure, William. And before I knew it, the F word comes and he calls me the C word, cunt, you cunt, and your bitch, Mum. And the whole thing came out and everyone was listening. I'm like, oh, so everyone's listening. There's William abusing the heck out of me because there was something that I didn't follow on my word. So he was disappointed. He felt hurt. He actually got sick for the whole week because he didn't express himself. He didn't talk to me about it. Didn't communicate about it. And so he just felt, you know what? I need to do this before I do any energy work because it's still stuck in my body. So I'm like, that's any more words, William? And I felt that there was still more energy in him that needs to get it out. I said, William, you need to. I can still sense there's more energy in there. Just get it out more. So he just splurted up more colourful words, and everyone heard it that day. So it was again, that's a great example in let it rip. Actually, let it allow it to come through, and otherwise you'll end up like Steve after 5 decades, 50 years, dealing with it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look, I was almost. In saying that, I was almost in tears given the constriction of my upbringing versus the freedom of that upbringing. And I don't blame my parents. They were just doing what they thought was best. But I can really see in the stark difference between those two styles of dealing with emotions and energy. And I was very much from the seen and not be heard kind of generation. And so that has had a lot of consequences, and whilst ever I didn't deal with that, those things were running my life. And look, I've got to say, it was incredible to see the energy shift, because I remember William's voice when he got on. Yeah, well, no, you're going, hang on, something's not right here, speak it out. And then after he had spoken all of that stuff outright and not continued to squash it down, he was a new person, was able then just to go about his normal work. It was a fascinating thing to see, and like I said, it made me really sad at, how different things were for me.
Totally, because William and I work very closely together in the energy work as well, and so when we work together, I don't consider him as my son, my physical son, and he doesn't consider me as his mum. So when we actually work together, he calls me by my name, and I treat him as anyone else. I don't treat him as my son. I look at him energetically. So William looks at me the same thing as well. So when we're working together, we're conscious that we are working together in the energy form. So therefore, there is no label. There's no son or mother. There's no label. We're just purely energy transmitting through whoever we're working with. And so that we had to establish that right from the very beginning. And so I'm fortunate enough that William has been really open to that since he was a child, and being able to train him that way. And so that so when he calls me by my name, it's just purely simply we are doing together the energy work. But when we're out of it, obviously he calls me mum, and he, typical 20-year-old, wants whatever he wants, and so that I pay for it.
Grace, would it be valuable to bring that code up to help ground everyone?
Oh yes, I was going to ask you. I'll bring it up.
Yeah, I really like this one, just as a lead into William's presentation. I love the earthiness of this, plus the the fire, like it's like the fire is like the, you know, a wall of protective flames around us. So do you want to do a little bit of preparatory energy work while we work with the code?
Sure, you do the words and I'll do the energy. How's that? Where's my one? Yes.
I don't have a lot of words other than if everyone just stare at the code and just get lost as you stare at something, and don't try and control an outcome. Just look at the code and you will see it just gently moving around. Different people see different things and it moves in different ways. So if you just, in your silence, just keep looking at the center of the code. And yeah, Antonio, here it is. You might notice the something in the center of the black there that might be jumping around. The little circle on the outside might be jumping around, and the flames may even move. Different people experience different things. So just try and even breathe it into your third eye, or look at it through your third eye, and just absorb it. And even you can absorb it into each of your chakras. Just do really feel the flamey bits on the outside are like a flaming wall of protection around us. And just stare into the center. And just let go. Beautiful earthy colors.
Going to the
So before William begins, I'll actually do this prayer from the Gnostics. It will give us guidance, protection, and assistance as William presents his message. So it goes like this. Powers of the kingdom, be ye under my left foot and in my right hand. Glory and eternity, take me by the two shoulders and direct me in the paths of victory. Mercy and justice, be ye the equilibrium and splendor of my life. Intelligence and wisdom crown me. Spirits of Malkuth, lead me betwixt the two pillars upon which rests the whole edifice of the temple. Angels of Netzach and Hod, establish me upon the cubic stone of Yesod. O Gidilel, O Giberel, O Tifereth, Binal, be my love. Ruach Chakmiel, be thou my light. Be that which thou art, and thou shalt be, O Kitharel. Isham, assist me in the name of Shaddai. Cherubim, be my strength in the name of Adonai. Binai Elohim, be my brethren in the name of the Son and by the powers of Sabaoth. Elohim, do battle for me in the name of Tetragrammaton. Melachim, protect me in the name of Yod-He Havav-He. Seraphim, cleanse my love in the name of Eloah. Hasmalim, enlighten me with the splendors of Elohim and Shekinah. Aralim, act. Orphanim, revolve and shine. Hazuf HaKadosh, cry, speak, roar, bellow. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Shaddai, Adonai, Yod Hava. Ihaya, Asher, Ihaya. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Amen, amen, amen.
Wonderful. Thanks, Grace. Just out of interest, before William comes on, did anyone get see any movement in the code? Just interested to see everyone's reaction to that. Black bits moving or anything like that. Judith, I saw the middle bit moving and pulsing. Cool. Again, there's no right or wrong. Some people see it really quickly. Others it takes 10, 15, 20 minutes of just staring at it. Sheldon has said, yes, in the centre, a ball was moving. Mark, the centre black moved, shimmered further. Cool. Inside the black wall, yeah. Saatchi movement in the centre, then it looked like it was full of stars. Wow. Of stars like a galaxy, like looking into a deep bowl. That was from Tasha. Antonia said the fire circle illuminating and central flower pulsating. Fantastic. That's one of the codes created by Yvonne Delfour, and they are incredible tools that we use. They always do something for me. Chris has said, got the same as Antonia. Like I said, everyone's different. Grace, any last things before we hand over to Will?
Well, Warren wants to take the mic and introduce William. So go for it, okay. Warren. We'll go from there.
Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed Steve and Grace and all the sharing and my brief little 2-minute contribution. But I just want to introduce William. So William, some of you know him, some of you don't. So William is Grace and my son, as we mentioned. But one thing we've all agreed is that when it comes to this work or business or anything, we treat each other pretty much in the role and in the responsibility and the authority for who we are. And I mean, William and I have this kind of joke, or just half joke, half truth between us, that the one time we get on very, very well is when we're doing spiritual work together. We're very, very aligned on that, even though we're quite different personalities in many other sense. And William is truly a very, very gifted, shaman and teacher. And in fact, some actually prefer listening to him than me because he shares so simply and straightforwardly. So we asked him to share because obviously with everything that's going on, there is so much like fear, there's so much coercion, there's astral traffic, spiritual entities that are just going rife and everything. And those of you who are sensitive, which are probably many of you, would no doubt be feeling that right now, I'm guessing, and feeling the energy, the movement, seeing what's going on. And Ephesians says our battle is not flesh and blood, but principalities and powers and might and dominions. And I was actually reading Yogananda's Second Coming of the Christ, and he was saying about how much what they call tramp souls, discarnates, demons, lower astral beings who've long since left the light can cause a lot of damage and create a lot of havoc. And many people are walking around with these things plugged into their energy field, having no idea. Like when they've had auric scans and what's called scans of their aura or etheric body, it's quite incredible what you can see. And William, basically, one thing that to this day, he and myself and Grace, we keep each other clean. I get William to scan me if I feel out of balance. He gets me to scan him and things like that. So William, auric and etheric clearing, being able to keep the etheric body clear. And just to give a quick illustration of that, I remember being in Las Vegas 5 years ago, and I was with a lady called Dr. Venus Williams, who's done a PhD, who's in the whole idea of etheric medicine in the body, and she told me that a lot of her work became leading edge over there, where they discovered how much that things that are in the etheric body manifest in the physical. And I'm seeing this even now with someone I know who's close to me, who years ago solved their health problem, and the same health problem has started to come back a little bit. And like for me, my gallbladder thing, which I thought I cleared 10 years ago, kept coming back. And as soon as I managed to clear the etheric patterning in my body and clear out the auric attachments around my gallbladder, no more problems. My gallbladder does not cause me any issues at all. It's like I have a whole new system. And I've seen this with myself, with other people. I had for years a back thing that wouldn't fix, cleared the etheric body and it fixed. And Dr. Venus Williams was just sharing with me how much patients and people that they were finding in Romania and Eastern Europe were fixing once you cleaned up and cleansed the etheric body and the attachments. So look, without further ado, I'll get William to come and share and speak on this. And yeah, it's a great starting point for shadow work. And I can honestly say it's my default clearing. If I feel out of balance, the first thing I do is check if I've got tramp souls, discarnates, or demons affecting me. And then I check my auric attachments, portals, wormholes, imprints, and all kinds of stuff. So it's my default clearing that I use. It's like my daily bath, which I use. So like having a shower. So without further ado, look, thanks, William. I'll let you come on camera and I'll jump off and let you take it from here. Are you there, William?
Yeah, I was just getting my screen, showing my screen, getting that set up. All right. So can everyone see my screen? All right, awesome. All right, well, welcome everyone, and thank you all for participating. So, how are we all feeling today? All right, so Famita says fantastic, awesome Famita. Antonia feels happy. Emily feels tired. Sheldon good. Irina okay. Ready? Okay, so we've certainly got some different reactions here. Well, it's good to see. And anyway, let's start this auric clearing. Let's start getting into that. Now, firstly, before we dive into auric clearing, who here knows about what it is, or who has some kind of idea? So type of Y if you do, and type of no and if you don't. Right, Tanya does, Sheldon, Emily, Famita, Serena, Chris a bit, Katie no. Okay, so we've got some no's now. All right, we've got quite a mixture here. So some of you don't, and some of you do. All right, so now let's get into the auric clearing. So for some of you, this will be like a rehash, and for others, this will be just the beginning. Now, firstly, we'll get into what an auric field is. So what is an auric field? So we don't just have a physical body, we also have an auric field which surrounds us. So in other words, while we have this physical body, this physical makeup, we also have what's called an auric field, which is a light body, basically, which is in those higher dimensions, and it's like a higher version of ourselves. So like I said, it exists beyond the physical world. It's our energetic one, so basically it's non-physical, and it's pretty much in those higher realms. So our auric field is the real source, which is keeping us alive. So it wouldn't be the breakfast that you ate this morning, the water you drank, or anything like that. The real source keeping us alive is our own auric field, because ultimately this is where our own energy and our spirit flows through. because, as I mentioned, it's because it's in those higher dimensions, it operates through that. And as it says in the scriptures, and Warren, I'm sure you know where it is, that we are not of this world. That, I mean, while we do have this physical body, ultimately we are not of this world, if that makes any sense to everyone here. We also have 8 morphogenetic chakras in our auric field. So we have, I mean, I'm sure most of you have heard of the 7 chakras, which we have, like in our head. So here, the third eye, or the crown chakra here, all the other places. But we also have 8 morphogenetic chakras which exist in the auric field. So these are quite different. Now, unfortunately, most people aren't aware of this, which may explain why they create auric attachments daily through various sources such as karma. So I mean, obviously, because people don't even know what auric clearing is, or auric field, or whatever, they tend to create their auric attachments all the time, such as karma. Now, that's just one example, but there can be many others, such as like a sudden anger outburst, or taking on someone's energy, or maybe like they're rescuing a friend who doesn't really need it, that kind of thing. Okay, so now let's look at auric attachments. Now before we do that, type Y in the text chat if you feel like you're creating auric attachments all the time. Serena, yep. Sheldon, yep. Famita. And keep in mind that it's not a bad thing if you do, because when it comes to these auric attachments, it can be a very easy pit to fall into. Because I mean, me, Warren, and Grace, we also have to make sure we do regular auric clearings. So we make sure that we don't pick up too many or create any new ones. And Tuss just said we all do at times. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. All of us do. We all do that at times. All right, so now we'll look through the auric attachments. So now that you've probably got a good idea on what the auric field is, we'll go to the next part. All right, so what are auric attachments? Now, auric attachments are negative energies or entities which exist within our auric field. So the auric attachments are in our auric field. Basically, there's 2 types. There's a non-entity and there's an entity, basically. So entities, or another way you can look at it is entities with souls, entities without souls. So entities with souls, so these ones are actually beings. So like your discarnates that Warren mentioned earlier, discarnates, demons, and the beings that are actually alive. Whereas entities without souls, those are just negative attachments which simply need to be transmuted with energy. So in other words, they're not actually living like the demons or discarnates. Now they come in various forms. They can come in barbs, hooks, spears, demons, wounded souls, and so forth. So they can be anything, or cords, like in this image here. So ultimately, these get in the way of us connecting to our higher self and getting mental clarity. So I mean, have all of you heard of a higher self? Just type Y if you have. Right, Suzanne, Tanya, Yap, Sheldon, Sachi, Barbara, Irina. Yep, everybody. So everyone has. Yep. So to those who haven't, the higher self is basically the auric field. So the auric field, while it's an energetic light body, as I mentioned earlier, it's like a higher version of ourselves. It's like pretty much a version of us without the auric attachments and all the emotions and the shit in the way, which comes by being on Earth. So basically, I mean, I'm sure you get the memo here now that when you have auric attachments, they very much get in the way of us connecting to our higher self and getting the mental clarity that we need to do our path, to do our purpose, to do all sorts of different things which we need to do. And of course, disrupting the day-to-day stuff. They also have the ability to drain our energy field, which keep us from optimum functioning. So unfortunately, with these attachments, they can definitely lower your energy levels, and instead of being very energetic and having the energy which we naturally have, instead we're very drained, tired all the time, and basically we're pretty much dead, but yet we're alive, almost like a zombie. But they will eventually manifest in your physical life if they're not cleared and dealt with in the etheric. So in other words, if you don't deal with it quick enough, then it can actually manifest into your physical life. It can manifest as a health problem, a toxic relationship, or financial hardship or loss, or maybe like losing important friends, that kind of thing. So it can manifest in all these dark forms. Because unfortunately, if you don't address it quick, if you don't address it while it's still in the etheric, then it manifests in a darker form, so in your physical life. Because I mean, what I always say, and what Warren and all what we've learned, pretty much is that everything that's happening in your physical reality is simply a result of what's going on within you. Your own thoughts, beliefs, patterns, pretty much the stuff that's going on within. Now, the question is, how are they created? So let's dive into that. Most commonly from what are called analogical experiences, which in turn create it. So these are how they create. These are the most common way that they're created. So basically what an analogical experience is when you experience something so traumatic that basically you freeze for a moment in time. And I mean, instead of kind of being alert and on your feet, you freeze for that moment in time, and then the pain cuts you so deep that you basically fragment or fracture a part of your soul off. And then once you fractured that part, you then create a new id or identity. So where you pretty much change completely as a person. So where maybe once where you were very happy and you very much enjoyed life and you got along with everybody, but then one day you experienced something very traumatic, like you lost certain friends or whatever. So then you fractured your soul, and then you became very hardened, very closed off, and very, very angry, that kind of thing. So type of why, if you've experienced something like that, where you know that you went analogical and created an id, a whole new identity. So Sheldon, Daniela, Sally, I know I've certainly done that before. Miko, yes, as a girl. Well, yeah, that's true, Miko. I mean, when you're a child, that's where you're at your most vulnerable. So when you're a child, you're even more so to create an ids in your system. Dolly, Katie. And I mean, one thing that I will share is that, I mean, if to those in WA, you may remember that we had a lockdown in February or somewhere like that after 10 months of being COVID free. I remember that Warren and I, we really felt it. We really felt the devastation, because as a state we'd become complacent and we'd kind of stopped doing the work and the energy work over the state. And so hence then it was kind of a takeover. During that time, I remember that, I mean, although I hadn't known it, I mean, Warren and I jumped on for intercession, where we did a clearing over the state of WA, and then what had happened was, I mean, he cleared something from me, and I cleared that had been there for years, where it's like there was an anger, and there was it's like there was a fragmentation of our relationship, where I mean, because as a child I was much closer to him and we did a lot of stuff together, but then over the years then I kind of became very hardened, and then it really changed. And then what had happened was, during that session he cleared that in, and since then we've been closer than ever. And I'm sure you would agree, Warren. And you remember that, don't you?
Yeah, I actually feel soft and teary when you're sharing it, because I remember I was just broken for 24 hours. I just lay there because I knew we'd been doing the work and seeing the shifts. And I remember when we did that work, I felt probably the closest to you that I'd felt. We saw how we kind of healed the Father and the Son. And then it was like after we healed all that and cleared ourselves together, we were able to go to war and kind of deal with the angelic and the reverse chakra sequences and the auric attachments that hit the state. And yeah, I remember that. And then remember what happened at that night's press conference after we did that.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Miguel apologized, and then he really was making it all right. Yeah, it was quite amazing what had happened that night.
Yeah, well, I just remember you and I both realized that everything that was happening in the state was just a reflection of our own consciousness. So we just worked on ourselves for ages, I remember. And then when we felt everything shift in us, we watched that press conference in astonishment. It was like everything changed.
Oh, I know. And I mean, since that day, our relationship has been like the strongest it's ever been since I was a kid.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's like back to what it used to be when you were like, 2 or 3, and I used to take you everywhere.
Well, I know, because I remember all those stories, and then, I mean, back for a while, I was wondering what happened to those days. But then I guess we finally worked it out. And I remember that I did get very teary, because, I mean, I'd become very closed off, and I pretty much shut everybody out. But then since that day, it really helped me to open to everyone again, and it felt great.
Yeah, I remember that. That was very, very powerful. And it was probably one of my greatest lessons of what can happen and how even everything had a higher purpose there, because it also was the beginning of West Australia opening up, and people starting to get scared and get hungry. And the work really grew in WA after all that, I remember. And yeah, because we opened up, it was like people's hearts in the state have started opening up. We're noticing how open people are and how easy it is to build friendships and connections now within WA. And I'm making so many friends even from this group. Like I spent the last 10 years virtually as a hermit, and even 20 years, and suddenly now I've got all these friends and connections, and it all started from that.
Yes. Yep. Well, thanks, Warren. All right. So
Yeah, my pleasure.
They're also created by making choices not in line with the higher spiritual laws of own truth. So, in other words, you can also create them when you make choices which are not aligned with the higher universal laws or your own truth as well, like living by someone else. Yep, and Ariel says, thank you, amazing to witness the beautiful sharing. Yeah, thank you, Ariel. Also created by not managing your emotions and exploding with no self-control. So, in other words, if you can't control your emotions and if you can't manage them, then there's no way that you'll be able to manage to clear up the auric attachments or anything like that. And we've definitely all fallen into this one where we haven't managed our emotions properly and where we've exploded, so hence it creates the attachments. Also created by not speaking your truth or constantly mistreating and hurting others. So when you don't speak your truth, or if you're treating someone like shit, then that's how you can create them as well. And I mean, for centuries, society has been all about like fitting into society, pleasing your family, pleasing your friends, the people close to you, and also being well liked, all that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you what, it certainly comes at a price. So not only does it create them in your throat chakra or in another area of your body, but in the end, it will make you very miserable, and you won't really be living a fulfilling life. You certainly won't feel connected to the higher masters or any of those guys. Whereas like when you do speak your truth, where you are a bit of an asshole, but you do have that kindness, that's basically where it's very good. And besides, I mean, as Warren would always say, it is fun to be a bit of an asshole. Because, I mean, although you will piss people off, it's far better that you piss someone else off than piss yourself off. Because, I mean, you can easily unfriend that person or remove them from your life, whereas you can't exactly do that with yourself because you're living in your own skin. So misuse of sexual energy, so like lying to get sex, like cheating with someone, manipulation, power games, having sex just randomly, etc. So this is another way that you can do it, and this definitely is not one of the better ways, I might add. And constantly rescuing other people and never thinking about yourself. So this is where you're caught up in trying to solve everyone's problems so much that you never think about yourself. And this is definitely one that we've all done before. And as healers are especially vulnerable to doing this. But let's now dive into how they affect you. So what happens is you lose touch of your real soul and create a new identity for yourself. The attachments become more solidified and condensed if they're not dealt with quickly. So in other words, instead of it being one attachment to clear, it becomes layered. So in other words, I mean, instead of it just smashing it with a hammer very easily, instead you're gonna have to dive through all the layers. And you certainly don't want that. They get into each of your 15 chakras and block them from flowing properly. You can potentially attract unwanted experiences or relationships in your life. Sending back to source and being at one with him won't be possible. So ascension will definitely not be possible when you have these attachments. Accessing the higher dimensions and your higher self will be a major challenge. So if you have these auric attachments, you either won't be able to access them at all, or if you do, it will be with great difficulty. And you'll experience attacks from the darker masters, all kinds of chaos. Well, here's an interesting fact for you to know. Those effects are the reason that someone can experience a radical change in personality. So like we mentioned earlier, where someone can go from very bright and shining and talking to everyone, and then they can go from that to basically very hardened and basically a shell of their former self. Simply because they went through a traumatic event and created ids out of it. When ids are not cleared and dealt with, you'll lose touch of your true soul and can end up as someone whose light has grown dim. So in other words, when your candle shine bright once, it's now nothing but wax and burn and put out. So this results in you losing yourself and being led astray from your true purpose. So instead of being very clear on who you are and what your purpose is, and feeling fulfilled and connected to the higher masters, instead you'll be floundering around, constantly searching for a purpose and meaning in your life. You'll always have that void which you never will be able to fill, where your life will be very unfulfilling, no matter how much money you make, no matter what job you've got, and what your family situation is, or any of that kind of thing. And of course, you'll attract experiences according to that frequency. So you won't attract great experiences, and instead you'll just attract challenges and pain and or just all kinds of trouble. Yeah, financially you'll strive and struggle, and there'll be money blocks everywhere. So now, before we get into this next fact, can anyone relate to that, where you have had a point in your life where you've constantly been searching, floundering around, and you had that void which you never were quite able to fill? Sally, Sean, Serena, Sachi, yes, big time. Famida, yeah, and Suzanne, Tanya, blocks everywhere. And I know I certainly haven't had that. Linda, yes, when I was in my 20s. Yeah, there's always that certain period in our life where we have that. All right, well, here's another interesting fact for you. Auric attachments will locate themselves in your chakras based on the emotion and the trauma you've experienced. And Tasha says, my partner always searching and I am affected. Yeah, that certainly can happen, and it can be a lot harder if you have a partner or someone close to you. So like I said, auric attachments will locate themselves in your chakras based on the emotion and the trauma you've experienced. So that means that if you experienced heartbreak, it would be located in your heart chakra, or the fourth chakra. And if you didn't speak your truth, it will be in the fifth chakra or your throat chakra. So I'm sure you get the gist now. So this means that each of your 7 chakras all have a very different meaning and frequency. So this means whatever emotion, accident, illness, trauma, or anything related will determine where the blockage will be in the chakras. So like I said, with the heart and throat, the solar plexus would be like your self-power, your self-esteem, and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, if you have an unresolved experience around heartbreak and love where you haven't addressed it, it will be stored in your heart chakra. So, all right, so now we'll get into the different types of attachments here. You've got occupants, discarnates, wormholes, portals, ids, personalities, and archetypes. So occupants are basically thoughtless, basically a negative thought form. So the way they work is if you had an accident or illness or something traumatic happened to you, and then or maybe someone did wrong by you, where in your eyes or whatever, and then what happens with these occupants is that instead of dealing with what's going on within you, and instead of basically addressing it head on, you instead decide to hold on to it. You're holding on to it like a grudge. And when you do that, I mean, it starts off as just a negative thought, but the more you hold on to it as a grudge, the more it no longer becomes a negative thought. It's now a negative thought form. And when it's a thought form, it's basically an entity without souls, so to speak. Because although it's not an actual being, the problem with occupants is that they think they own your body. And they have a very strong magnetic pull. So whatever you're thinking, it will manifest into your reality. And if you're holding onto that grudge, as you can imagine, it will manifest. And then you have your discarnates. So these are beings who have died, but they haven't yet passed through they haven't passed through to the light to go for their reincarnation. So instead, they're basically stuck in the fourth dimension, and because they don't have a physical body, they don't. The trouble is they have to feed, because basically, I mean, when they're in there, everything is very highlighted. So like if they were an alcoholic while they were alive, as an example, they would feed off someone else's energy who has that same one. So if someone else is an alcoholic getting drunk every week, then they will latch onto that person to feed off their energy. And you'll definitely know when you have one, because these are entities these are definitely entities with souls. Because there's certain signs you know that you have them. So like where maybe you're trying to quit something, or you're trying to get rid of a bad habit, but then there's always that voice telling you that it's not a bad thing. There's the voice telling you that basically that this is how it should be, this is how it's going to be, and almost like it has a kind of control over you. Or you'll have like sudden emotional outbursts out of nowhere, and then you wonder where it came from. All these kind of different ones. And then you have your wormholes. So these are basically the gateways which connect entities from higher dimensions to your auric field. So if you have a wormhole in your auric field, it will allow entities from the higher dimensions to feed off you. And then you've got portals, where these are created when you rescue somebody, where you feel so bad for someone that instead of actually trying to help them and doing a proper situation, think of it like a caterpillar. So I mean, a caterpillar has to go through metamorphosis before they become a beautiful butterfly. And if you see the caterpillar struggling and in pain, and then you decide that you'll help it, you've just stopped it from becoming a butterfly. So what I'm saying with the portals here is that when you rescue somebody in that way, instead of actually allowing them to experience their own kind of growth kind of thing, you'll create portals in your auric field, which will lead to energy loss and depression and all kinds of problems. And then IDS, we've gone over this one, where you fracture your soul. And then you've got your personalities. So these personalities are created when you create an id. So like I said, where you can become a very different person. So where you can go from very happy to very hardened, very angry and closed off. So that's the personalities. And then archetypes are basically shadow selves of these ids. So what the way these actually work is that there are all kinds of different archetypes. So you've got like the righteous virgin or the ultimate innocent, just as an example. Now this will be a whole different course and thing altogether, but just for context, here I'll be sharing for one of the archetypes. So the righteous virgin is basically where someone has that fake happiness. So it's like, I mean, we can all see a fake happiness a mile away. So that's where they have a lot of pain and a lot of hurt, but they cover it up through a facade of being very happy, having 1,000 friends, and and being very needy and basically feeling very unfulfilled in their life. They very much have a fear around abandonment. So that's basically an archetype. All right, so now those are the different types of attachments. So now just type in the text chat if you get a feeling which ones you may have in your auric field at the moment. Dolly said ids. For me, the discarnates. So Barbara, do you get a sense of which one you may have, or Sachi? Nico, discarnates, Pam, portals, and yellow archetypes, Sachi, ids, and discarnates, Sheldon, ids, and portals, Judith, portals. All right, so quite a few for discarnates and portals. The discarnate for Antonia, William are not clear on what the id is. So what the id is, Antonia, is when you experience something so traumatic that you fracture off your soul. And basically, instead of having your real soul piece there, you then create a very different personality for yourself, like a more hardened version of it. Barbara, occupants, portals, Sally, discarnates and ids, Daniela, my ex, is my occupant, Antonia, okay, cheers, yeah, no worries. Miko, ids, definitely too then. Yeah, ids are very common as well. Tasja, it varies. Yep. Sachi, portals too. All right. Okay, so how do you clear these? The main method of clearing auric attachments is with an auric clearing. And an auric clearing is the fastest and most effective way to transmute attachments. So here's some other methods to clear them. Step on your path and purpose and live it. Start making better choices which are more aligned with the universal laws and your own truth. Check for any karma you may have with someone or yourself and make it right. Seek to serve something beyond yourself and be mindful of not falling into personal gain. So here's some more details and context on what an auric clearing is. In simple terms, it means clearing your auric field. An auric clearing involves scanning the multidimensional light body, so in other words, the auric field. It also uses higher esoteric language and energy directing techniques and relevant codes to communicate with your higher self, as well as your subconscious mind to permanently transmute these attachments. You then recover golden soul fragments that represent pearls of wisdom from the issue which is being cleared. At the end of the session, we download new chords, new templates, and new soul programming from the higher self. And this will result with you embodying a much higher frequency in your life. And plus, your reality can change by attracting people, places, times, and events that resonate with your new higher frequency. All right. So now let's look at the science behind clearing all these auric clearing. So to put it simply, the universe is a giant hologram. The scientists are agreeing that there is a quantum or esoteric realm which governs all things. So we'll look at some examples here. The Carl Pribben, a Stanford University neurophysicist, David Bohm, University of London physicist, Amit Goswami, Oxford University physicist, and Dr. Joe Dispenza. So to put it another way, they're realizing that consciousness precedes matter. So Michael Talbot, in his book, A Holographic Universe, some of you have probably heard of that, had a very interesting take on this topic. So in the holographic universe, he suggests that coffee cups, trees, table lamps might not exist or even exist in the way we believe them to be. So in other words, when it comes to auric clearing, these attachments and all of these like traumas and emotions and all, they're only causing harm and problems because you believe them to be, and you have a certain interpretation or perception of it. So in other words, it's all an illusion. We live in an illusion, and mystics are right. So we're all living in one big illusion. The mind is like a radio transmitter which tunes into the radio stations of infinite realms of energy. So we are manifesting every second, minute, hour, or of the day and night. So can you imagine what's if you have all these attachments? Imagine what's happening if you have these attachments manifesting for you. Now that certainly is not a nice thought. Our thoughts create our reality. Not just that, but also the collective consciousness of those around us, i.e. we are affected by the mass mind. So if you're not mindful, not only can your own thoughts create your reality, but you also can take on the consciousness of everyone around you, especially those close to you, like friends or family. Our life is a hologram of what we create. In other words, we are the creators of our own destiny. Your subconscious mind works with your conscious mind. It's like a film or movie screen. In turn, it is affected by deeper quantum layers of mind, inputs, and other programming which you have collected. So it's like in those sci-fi movies where they do all kinds of experiments speaking certain language to program and create layers of conditioning on people. So that's basically what the dark have done, and that's what people have fallen into, where we've been programmed by all these layers. And so what happens is that it's created these attachments as well. But in conclusion, scientists have discovered that classic physics is questionable and quantum physics makes sense. All things are interconnected. We're all part of the same whole. We're not separate. Time and space don't exist. It's not linear. Holographic theory is real. It's not a conspiracy theory, or it's not some kind of fruitcake thing. Unless you're actively combating the mass mind, it doesn't matter what you do. You'll keep attracting back to the same hologram, as it's your own consciousness which determines your reality. So you'll keep falling back into the same habits. You'll keep falling back into the same patterning. You'll be relapsing, even if you make progress, that kind of thing. It is like you are in an elastic band which keeps pulling you back to the same place. You're being pulled back to square one. And the law of attraction and frequency is like gravity or like radio waves. In other words, it's not moral or emotional and doesn't care what's fair, unfair, or what should happen. It's just what is. So it doesn't matter about your circumstances or what's happened or whatever. The way these laws work is it's the law. So, and of course, if we break those and violate those laws, then we suffer the consequences. So, I mean, we may think it's unfair when these auric attachments are causing harm to us, but I mean, there's no one to blame but ourselves, because we have the power to shift that and transmute it. But here's the other ways you can acquire these problems is parents' beliefs and spoken words over us. So this is a big one. Going broke in your business, losing everything, being cheated on by a business partner, or getting bad advice, or being cheated on in a relationship, or losing an investment or having money stolen from you, a traumatic emotional experience or neuroassociation, spiritual dissociation, or repressive disorders. Bad examples around money or around like a spiritual teacher. So it's examples like where they're basically like heroes because they have all the knowledge and they basically have done very well for themselves career-wise or as a teacher. But the trouble is they have poor character and they're a complete dick of the highest order. Making a bad mistake and creating a story around it or blaming yourself or others. So rather than taking responsibility and actually looking for solutions to solve the problem, you instead create your own story and perception around it and blame yourself or other people. So training markets as well to those involved in training. Mass mind belief systems, so being in a corrupt, fire and greedy system. It's like a dirty house. I mean, when you're cleaning your house regularly, it's going to stay very clean and very nice. Whereas as soon as you stop cleaning it, sure, it will stay good for a while, but slowly but surely the dirt and the dust will pile up and it will become very dirty like it was or worse. All right, so now we'll get into clearing your blockages. So with these chakras, each of them represents something different. So root chakra blockages would be stuff related to survival. It'll be related to survival and basically the fear of death. Sacral chakra, that's around the sexual energy and the creative energy. The solar plexus is around self-power and your self-esteem. The heart chakra is around love, trust, and healing. The throat chakra is about communication, speaking your truth. The third eye is awareness and being able to see in those higher dimensions. The crown chakra is the spirituality. So the chakra that connects you to the cosmos and the higher masters. Okay, so does anyone have any questions before we get into the clearing? And now for the sake of this clearing, I'll just turn off my camera momentarily. All right, so no questions. All right, so let's start the clearing. So everyone focus on this code and inhale it to your third eye. And now just imagine it there, close your eyes. And now just breathe in through the nose for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. And breathe out through the mouth for 8. Yeah, mate. Yes, Miko. This is how it's meant to be. So just keep it in your third eye and just breathe through the nose for 4, hold for 4, and breathe out through the mouth for 8. It is commanded by the laws of the golden liquid realms and alchemical powers that the auric calibration code be used to clear up any occupants, its discarnates, personalities, etc. from each person here, from all 7 chakras. Clear it from all 7 chakras. Clear it from the first one around survival, second one around the sex energy and the creativity. Clear from the third one around self-power, self-esteem. Clear from the 4th chakra around love, trust, betrayal, heartbreak. Clear around the throat chakra, communication, not speaking the truth or using the word for deception. Clear around the 6th chakra, around being blocked in awareness, not being able to see the path or purpose or the higher masters. And clear from the 7th chakra, around the connection to the cosmos and to God. And clear from the 8 morphogenetic chakras as well. Clear from the chakras in the auric field. So we now clear this all from each person here. Now, to Asia in Zeroi. We clear the shadows from it as well. Clear any shadows or any negative energy, heaviness, lift it off. We also close any portals and wormholes in each person here with this calibration code. Close any portals and wormholes. And we bring up any discarnates right now, and including those who are hidden. And we now provide a 3rd order escort to escort any discarnates lurking to the astral planes justly earned now. We clear up any karma between the discarnates and any person here. Clear the karma, and we now clear them. And transport any discarnates that resist to the astral planes justly earned now. Oh. Wow, what Warren of Grace, can you see that? Can you see what's happening right now? Grace and spiraling, Warren a lot clearing right now. Yeah, there's definitely a lot spiraling and a lot clearing at the moment. Yeah, it's definitely broadcasting out. Christine's been feeling very sleepy. Miko, wow. Okay, so we now clear any implants as well coming up. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of implants coming up right now and control devices. Warren, a lot clearing around the heart and throat and third eye. Yeah, I agree, Warren. Especially clearing around the heart chakra. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, there's a lot of walls around the heart right now. There's a lot of walls, and very hard. Right, so we now break that fallow ground. For me, I felt entity flying out of me. Yep. So we scramble that energy, clear any implants in the name of Christ, and send them back to whoever sent them sevenfold, justly earned. Now, bring healing, bring comfort to the hearts of everyone here. Bring down the walls. Warren, there's a lot of anxious discarnates in the fourth dimension who've attached themselves to people who resonate with their fear and anxiety and sense of loss who are now clearing out. Yeah, oh, definitely. There's definitely a lot of fear being cleared and a lot of anxiety and loss. So we scramble any fear as well. Setting everyone free, bringing the golden liquid light. Wow, that's awesome, Miko. Rubber band, Suzanne, rubber band just stretched and snapped out of my third eye. Oh, wow, awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah, that was an implant, Suzanne. There's a lot of those clearing out right now as well. We lift off the sleepiness of each person here. Bring back the energy into everyone. Bring back the higher light energy. Bring in happiness. Bring in peace of mind. So we clear around the mind as well. Clear the negative thoughts. We clear the negative thoughts, the doubts, the voices. For me, I felt something burst out of my heart chakra. Yeah. Very funny, Warren. Hi, Sleepy, I'm Warren. Oh, boy. Well, good way to lighten the mood. Clear the darkened auras and transform them into light. Turn on the lights. Bring the colors into the aura. Wow, Suzanne, that's brilliant. Eyesight is becoming clear. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's certainly what happens. Things become much more clear. My body slightly moving in small circles and side to side. Yeah, the body does tend to move a lot when the clearing's going on. Yeah, my body is shaking right now. Daniela, positive emotions. Yes. So, is there anything that you're picking up, Warren or Grace? Is there anything else you're picking up? Grace, let go of attachments. Yeah, yes, that's certainly a big one. That's a big one. Tash just sitting up straight, very relaxed, when before I was slouching and could not stop doing so. Wow, that's really good. That's very good. Daniela, I see beauty around me. Yeah, there is a lot of beauty right now. There's all kinds of colors and higher masters and things everywhere. All right, so we now clear any more attachments. Help everyone here to let go of all attachments. Such my hearing is very sharp. All right, so we now relax the mind. We relax the mind and clear the pressure going on there. Suzanne, top of my head in the front is so light, yellow flowers growing out of my forehead. Oh, that's awesome, Suzanne. Irina, my head hurts. Yeah, I certainly got a sense just now to clear around the mind. So we now clear the clouds from the mind, the darkness, evaporate the clouds, those dark clouds, releasing everyone from the clutches of the clouds of the dark in the mind. So we clear the mind and make everyone the host of their own mind, and make them the host of their own thoughts. Bring peace to the mind. All right, so now everyone just let go of any anger. So just let go of any anger which is residing right now. Just let it go. Except for what is. So we now scramble that anger and transform it into love. Tasha says, energy moving out of my head and feeling emotional release smoothly. Excellent, Tasha. So we also clear any heartache, any remaining heartache or hardness of heart. Sheldon, pressure in my head is gone. Wonderful, Sheldon. Victor, I'm feeling lighter, and my wife felt the shift in everyone's energies, especially the clearing of the heart and throat and crown. Collective energy so much clearer and lighter now. Yeah, I certainly agree, Victor. There's a lot happening. Yeah, and Grace said much better collectively. Yeah, it's that. I definitely agree with that one. So we now bring people into their own truth and align with the universal laws. We realign the chakras, realign the aura, Sachi energy from my heart out through the crown, feeling tearful. Yeah, I'm certainly feeling it too, Sachi. Linda, I see many colours. Yeah, there are a lot of colours going right now. Tasha, yes, tearful, but with no attachments. They are energy and physical tears combined. Yeah, that's I agree with that. Yeah, Sachi, definitely energy tears. Yeah, I've had that. It does get like that. All right, so how's everyone feeling now? For me, they're feeling the presence of the masters. Yeah, I certainly am right now. They're certainly very active today. Irina feels stronger. Wonderful. Serena, lighter, clearer. Sheldon, excellent. Katie, cleansed. And Suzanne, passive, quiet, peaceful. Yeah, there's certainly a lot that's been going. Christine, sleepiness is gone. Linda, now I see white light after the cleansing. Pam, much lighter and peaceful. Barbara, peaceful, calm, tears. And Tasha, like a sponge cleaned out. Victor, lighter, centered, clearer. Judith, I'm blown away. It's just like someone turned the light on in my head and body. Yeah, I certainly agree with that one. Yeah, it's like a switch has been flipped. Daniela, strong and calm. Famita, lighter and peaceful. Very thorough cleansing. Sally, pins and needles. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of feeling in the body going on. Sachi just had a picture of a knife being pulled out of my back. Feel more inside my body. Yes, yes. So you probably feel, you must feel more grounded now then. Yes. Dolly at one hole. Yes, that's for sure. Irene, a heartbreak has been lifted. Oh wow, that's really good. Because yeah, there's certainly a lot being cleared around the heart. Sally, warm and tingling. Judith, the newborn baby next door was screaming his head off just a few minutes into the energy clearing. Could this be related or just colics? Oh yeah, it definitely can be related because babies and children are very sensitive to energies, so they very much can pick stuff up. Such a feeling more solid. Yes, yeah, definitely. There's definitely a lot of strength right now. Judith, yes, I had this feeling. Yeah, because children and babies, they're definitely very sensitive to energy and they're much more in tune. Alina, thank you, William. I needed it so much. The pain I had in my heart and sacral chakras has left after days of absolute torture. May God bless you. Well, thank you very much, Alina. I'm glad that I could help. It's always good. Because yes, there's certainly a lot of pain which was cleared today. All right, well, great. Judith, thank you, William and Grace and Warren. This was awesome. Yeah, I agree. That actually was pretty good. All is well next door too. Awesome. Suzanne, I had a vision of a man dragging my sore shoulder. He asked for forgiveness, granted, and hugs. Well, that's great, Suzanne. So it's certainly amazing what can happen with a clearing. So how about you, Grace and Warren? How are you guys feeling?
Yeah, it's certainly clearing a fair bit out. Gosh, I could feel a stabbing pain in my upper left back. So I think I was definitely picking up some energy.
Yes, Simon, that's it's released from my heart chakra and the sacral. So what we can do now, William, is collectively take everyone into higher realm so that we can energize everyone here, energize collectively, leverage on each other, and take it to, say, the 100th realm.
Yep. All right.
So let's start with the vortex and spiraling it out to the universe. Bring on the tetrahedron pyramid as well.
Yep. Whoa, okay, that pyramid's really strong right now.
Yes.
Whoa, that.
Feel its frequency. Feel its frequency.
Whoa. Yep.
Yeah. Working on the tetrahedron. Increasing the Merkaba.
Spiraling each person here up to the higher to the 100th realm. Spiraling, vortexing. bringing up everyone as a collective. Bring the collective healing in, the energizing.
Realigning all the chakras from the sacral to the crown, from the base to the crown. And bring in the blue light too, William.
Yes, we bring in the blue light and the violet flame. Bring in the golden liquid light, and we also call the fire of the Holy Ghost.
Yes. Activating.
We now burn down the old and bring the new.
Wow.
Bring in the activation.
Ooh. Touching everyone's physical body. Renewing all the cellular structures within the body. Revitalizing, refreshing. Increasing the auric field, touching the morphic field. Increasing, hey, Will?
Well, okay. Now I feel like I'm spinning. Oh, my head's dizzy.
Yes.
I'm feeling very dizzy.
Anyone else feeling that? The tetrahedron pyramid is absolutely moving today.
Yes. It certainly is. Oh.
Inviting the archons. No, delete that. Invite the the plank.
Yeah, I don't think we want the archons, Grace. They're not exactly the friendly bunch.
No, my mind has just gone. My mind has just melted.
Your mind has really spiraled, hasn't it?
Yes.
Oh my. Whoa. Wait, well, mine is. I thought mine was spiraling.
Oh, my brain just turned into mush.
So yeah, we revoke that invite for the archons. We close them off.
Absolutely revoke.
We revoke them, and we call in Christ and the higher masters. Only those who are aligned with the word of God, the Christ consciousness.
I meant to say the Arcturians.
Yeah. All right. So we call in the Arcturians as well. We bring them in for their healing and their alchemy.
Yes.
Yeah, I just got that alchemy.
Yes, using the alchemy, transmitting, and then also inviting all the lovely ETs out there, letting them know our location to bring love, unconditional love, and start to have that intergalactic connection.
Mm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Opening up our heart chakra to unconditional love, removing all fear.
Okay, now I feel like they're operating on me and everyone else.
Yes. They're using the tetrahedron pyramid.
They are, because I feel like I'm in an operation room.
I'm feeling a bit drunk at the moment, to be honest.
So okay. Oh my god.
Oh, that's good, Pam. I'm not the only one.
No, I'm starting to feel it well that they're operating on me.
Yeah, Suzanne's head is spinning as well into the ether.
Yes, it is. Oh, yes.
I would agree with you, Famita.
It certainly is a wild ride. Oh.
Okay, let's increase the alchemy. Increase the alchemy of fire, ether, air, and ground us to earth, Gaia. Opening up the ocean, refreshing all of us here.
Oh. Whoa. Okay, now I feel like I'm in an ocean.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in an ocean and I'm being bathed.
Okay.
It's like a rebirth.
Yes. Okay. Now going to the ocean, do a deep dive, William.
Yes. Okay. Well, thanks, Selena. I'm glad I have you there. Oh my god.
Take a big breath.
What roller coaster have you taken us on? Holy.
Yeah, take a deep breath and deep dive.
Oh boy.
Baptizing everyone in the river of Jordan. Refreshing, revitalizing the essence of wellness into each and everyone's beingness. You sense anything, Steve, or come up with any words?
I just got a sense of Saint Germain and his violet flame transmuting things.
Beautiful.
Oh wow, Saint Germain. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Victor said his wife physically felt something pulled out of her throat.
Whoa, holy moly.
Wonderful.
Yeah, or some kind of rock, some kind of implant rock.
Mm. So we pour in the golden liquid light into her throat. Bring healing into her throat chakra.
But we heal the etheric layers that any tears created.
Yeah, there's a lot of ache in your heart, Eleanor. Oh, that's great, Pamita.
All right, so now everyone just take a glass of water now. We clear any residue, any remaining residue from each person here around the attachments. Clear that toothache from Antonia. Clear any remaining implants.
Recording in progress.
All right. Well, thanks. Thank you very much, everyone. That was a great clearing, and I'm grateful you all came to hear the message. I was very much excited to share today. And I thank you all for coming.
Thank you, William. Grace, you want to jump back on? We'll just quickly finish it off and just share our thoughts.
Yes, well, I must say, thanks, Warren. Thanks, Grace. I really enjoyed today.
Yeah, I enjoyed too, William. I always love it when you speak, and yeah, you bring a nice, simpler, soft touch. And in fact, I can tell you now, but I know quite a few people, even James and Edward, said, "Oh, we really like listening to William speak." You know, so there you go. You got some. Even they like listening to you. So well done.
Yep. Well, thanks once again, everyone, and I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, so, well, that was good, William. You know, auric clearing is certainly one of the fastest way to get yourself back aligned and balanced when you're out of sorts, isn't it? Nothing like it.
Oh, I know. I mean, just doing that, it also helped bring me back to balance as well.
Well, yeah, look, one of the things I'll quickly share, this is why we get William to speak, why we're getting Steve to speak and Grace to speak and me, because the idea is when you get a balanced diet, it's like if all day you just ate steak, after a while your digestion would not be very happy. Or if you just ate, just carrots all day, after a while you'd start getting challenges. And so the idea of a balanced diet, and I mean, James and Edward were having a bit of a chuckle about it because they said, we like listening to William and Steve because they bring a sort of soft, heart-opening touch. They said, you're like a sledgehammer, Dad. You walking like a nuclear bomb and just blow everyone up. And it's, I think those who know me know there's a lot of truth in that. I'm naturally just come in and, do a bit of a hard hitting. And Steve, maybe you jump on camera as well so we can all round off together. And yeah, it's one of the reasons why William does auric clearing, and in fact, he's going to be doing a course very soon, the next little while. So William runs a 5-class auric clearing course, which he goes through and helps people shift all their blocks thoroughly. So we'll let you know more about that when he's doing it. It'll be sometime, we'll announce it over the next few weeks. So my guess is probably a few of you will be very interested in that.
All right, so well, there's the handsome man, Steve, we've been waiting for.
Thanks, Will. My sense is everyone is much lighter. It's like the burdens of the world that everyone brought to today, that they have been lifted. So yeah, well done, Will. That was really good. It was really powerful.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. That was really good. I actually enjoyed that.
I still feel a bit dizzy and lightheaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, so. after that 2 roller coaster trip you took us, I really do. I think you got everyone drunk. Hey, how's that, Warren? You got drunk without alcohol.
Exactly. Well, I can tell you something, William. I remember when I was 18, the first time I got really filled with the Holy Spirit. I was really, really skeptical. And I went there and I'd kind of made a decision, if I don't experience something today, and I was fortunate that there was a very good kind of Pentecostal or, awakened church. And I thought, if I don't feel something today, I'm not going again. This is just a waste of time. And I turned up there and the speaker actually said, there's someone in this room who just said in their heart, if I don't experience something real today, I'm not coming back. And if that's you, come out the front and you're going to get your wish. I thought, okay, I can't deny that. So I went out the front, and as he started praying for me, he goes, you're skeptical, aren't you? Gosh, you resisting me like crazy. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, can you just let go for a minute and then at least give me a chance or God a chance to move with you? I said, okay. So I did. And next minute I was gone, and I was out in a trance for ages. And I remember a couple of things. Number one, I came out of it and I literally felt like I was drunk. I'd been drunk once before in my life and I didn't really like it because of the hangover afterwards. So I promised myself I wouldn't do it again. In fact, I did it twice in my life and then that was it. But I actually felt drunk, but without any hangover. I felt this joy and this ease within myself. The second thing, I remember my sister kept asking me if I was okay and people there. And I said, well, why would I not be okay? And they said, well, you went flying backwards really hard and you hit your head. And I said, no, I didn't. Someone caught me. And then we all got goosebumps. And we realised what had happened was that angels had actually caught me, So, yeah, this is all very real stuff. And it's one of the things I was saying to Grace. I said, gosh, we've got to, allow people to, experience more of what we've experienced because, we encountered awakening and shifts because we experienced the transformative power of energy work and clearings. And, it's great to give teaching, but we've got to balance it out with that. So it'd be good to get, a different flavour coming through.
Yes.
Definitely. And also we all work differently too. We have, we work differently in our energy and different styling. different way to present things. So you get a buffet. Put a buffet on.
Yes, and different and trying the different ice cream flavors.
Yeah, William is a fan with ice creams. I like cakes myself. Deborah asked, you mentioned masters.
Yes.
Masters. Well, there's higher masters and brotherhood and angelic councils who oversee what goes on. So when we say God, it's a very broad concept because God is reflected in an Elohim, or like a council of gods or brotherhood of light. So that's what we're talking about.
I mean, I mentioned one specifically too in Saint Germain. So there are, many of them.
Yeah, because what happens is once the best way to explain it is that when you study the Kriya Yogi, is once a being, a sentient being or an individual like us, goes through our earthly path and complete our dharma, our dharmic duty, which means our service, and we complete and clear all our karmic attachments to earth, you then become ready for the next stage of evolution. And so, for example, Sri Yukteswar explains you've got physical karma, like your earthly karma. You've got what's called astral karma, and then you've got what's called, subtle or causal, or basically spirit karma. And then once you finish all that, you then move into Empyrean, which is like the highest level of the next universe of the farthest pure consciousness source. So let's say you complete your earthly karma, you then go into what's called the astral plane. And then, whereas normally when you die, you die and you go into some kind of astral place, depending on what's happened. Some people go into like a paradise, a place of rest for healing and regeneration and life lessons and a life review, then they reincarnate and come back again. That's what most people do, or just go to a some beings who particularly played up consistently lifetime after lifetime end up going into lower astral realms for a period of time. And some end up as discarnates trapped in the fourth dimension because they get lost. And so when you complete your journey on earth, you clear your earthly karma, then you go into the astral realms and you start working on that. So you may become a being in that. So there's different masters. There's some masters who are just beings in the astral realm who support the best they can. There's beings in the causal realm who actually help out as well from time to time, who people connect with. And then there's those higher lords from the Empyrean, like the angels like Uriel, Gabriel, Metatron. These are really highly ascended kind of beings. So, Christ, for example, cleared all levels of karma. Buddha did it too. So, yes, when we say masters, it's a broad concept. It's a really intricate universe that we actually live in.
And also, I'd like to explain the prayer that I did before William came on was actually, it's a guide to the tree of life. And it goes on the bottom of the tree of life is the Malkuth, and it goes up to Ketha, and then you work yourself into the passage up. So the tree of life I'm talking about is the Kabbalah. And so that's what we use for transmutation and alchemy and to make a change in yourself. So each one of those, each Sephiroth, which is the circle in each one in the tree of life, actually has an archangel to protect and guide us as we go up to the next level. And so the names that was mentioned on the prayer was actually the archangels that comes and protects us as we go up to the tree of life. So for those who are familiar with it, it's that's what I use for a roadmap in terms of getting into what Warren's talking about in the Empyreans, because the Empyreans is the highest level, which is only fire. There's only fire and ether and complete bliss, completeness, it just is. So, so that's what I use to get up to that level and get up to the Buddha, the Christ consciousness level. And so just there's a kind of a roadmap going to the next phase. The graphic on your slide, are you talking about this code, Anne? Are you talking about what's in front of you now?
Yeah, maybe I'll explain that. I mean, generally, it's what's called optimal pineal induction, that kind of stuff. So, so optimal pineal induction, which basically, if you read all the mystery schools teachings like Pythagoras and that, and even Christ, he said, when the eye is light, the whole body is light. And people think the eye, but he's talking about the third eye. So the codes are well known, they're used to activate energy because our unconscious and our higher mind thinks in terms of pictures, images, symbols, and colours. So the codes actually help to open up our pineal gland, our third eye, and activate us more in the spirit realm. And in fact, the Buddhist masters used to call it kasina meditation. So that's what it is. It's a code which helps us to do that. So.
Well, it's been a very good morning. Thank you for everyone's participation. It does help when you actually participate and jump in with us.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I must say. Everyone was very engaging today, so I thank you all for that. And yes, thank you, Ed.
Does this help to unlock the calcified pineal? Anyone?
Yes. Well, there's various ways you can do that, but it certainly helps. Yes, it definitely helps to unlock the pineal gland. It can help with that, along with, of course, various other things you can do. Like certainly getting off fluoride is a very good way to start that off. Minimising any fluoride intake is one way. The other one is what's called snake liver oil as well. That's quite a good one, or skate liver oil, sorry, SKATE. So skate is a kind of fish. So that's another thing that can help as well. So skate liver oil, getting off fluoride, but certainly those code kasina meditation can help quite considerably.
Skate liver oil.
Yeah. Skate liver oil. Well, it's been great, everyone. So thanks heaps. I was going to say last thing at all. Tonight I might be doing a clearing for energy shifting over cities or whatever else. So I'll post it on Telegram and on Facebook, but I'm very likely going to be doing that tonight around 7 o'clock-ish or 7:30. So and Tony goes, yay. So yeah, those who are interested, we're going to be doing some work because we certainly need to keep active and busy on that one. So hopefully, William or Christine or Steve or Grace are able to turn up. But yeah, so yeah, we're going to be doing some work on that and really keep clearing out as much as we can over our cities.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Great.
Well, thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day.
See ya.
All right, bye.
See ya.
Bye.